What happens when the girl everyone hates becomes the most powerful woman in the realm? Stick around until the end to find out how Sophia went from village outcast to alpha queen. And don't forget to hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. The rain fell like shards of ice. Sophia stood alone in the village square, her thin dress plastered to her shivering frame, her silver eyes reflecting the storm clouds above. Around her, shutters slammed closed, doors bolted. Faces disappeared behind window panes, some watching with disgust, others with pity so shallow it burned worse than hatred. She had nowhere to go. The bakery had turned her away that morning. Again, the blacksmith's wife had spat at her feet when she'd asked for work-mending tools. Even the orphanage, the place that had raised her until she turned 16, had locked its gates against her 2 years ago when the whispers became too loud, when the superstitions festered into certainty. Silver-eyed devil, bad omen, cursed child. Sophia wrapped her arms around herself, teeth chattering so violently she bit her tongue. The metallic taste of blood mixed with rainwater. She didn't cry. What was the point? Tears had dried up long ago, replaced by a hollow ache that lived in her chest like a second heart, one that beat only with loneliness. "Everyone hates me," she whispered to the empty square, her voice lost beneath thunder's roar. She didn't know why she said it aloud. Maybe she hoped the storm would answer. Maybe she hoped it would finally end her, sweep her away so she'd stop being Ravenhollow's shame, its walking proof that curses were real. 3 months ago, the miller's son had drowned in the river. They blamed her because she'd walked past his house that morning. 6 weeks before that, lightning struck the chapel's bell tower. Her fault. She'd been praying inside. Last winter, when half the cattle died from fever, the village council had dragged her to the square and demanded she leave. But leave to where? She had no coin, no family, no skills anyone wanted. The forest beyond Ravenhollow belonged to wolves and worse things. The road south led to cities that would swallow a girl like her whole. So she stayed, and Ravenhollow punished her for it daily. The storm intensified. Wind howled through the square, extinguishing the last oil lamp hanging outside the tavern. Darkness swallowed everything except the occasional flash of lightning that illuminated the cobblestones, the boarded windows, the single figure standing in the deluge like a ghost no one wanted to acknowledge. Sophia's knees buckled. She caught herself against the old stone well, her palms scraping rough granite. The cold had seeped so deep into her bones that she couldn't feel her fingers anymore. Her vision blurred. From rain or exhaustion or despair, she couldn't tell. Maybe I should just walk into the forest, she thought distantly. Let the wolves have me. At least they'd be honest about wanting me dead. Pathetic. The word cut through the storm. Sophia's head snapped up. Through the sheets of rain, she saw him, a figure standing at the edge of the square where the forest road met the village proper. Tall. Impossibly still despite the wind that should have knocked any man sideways. He held a large black umbrella. The rain that had been hammering Sophia suddenly stopped. Not the storm that still raged around the square, still pounded the rooftops and flooded the gutters. But directly above her head, silence, dryness, warmth. She looked up, gasping. The umbrella now sheltered her, though the man holding it stood 15 feet away. That should have been impossible. The canopy wasn't large enough, the distance too great. Yet here she was, dry for the first time in hours. "What?" Her voice came out as a rasp. The man moved. Each step was deliberate, predatory. He closed the distance between them with the fluid grace of something not entirely human, and as lightning flashed, Sophia finally saw his face. Beautiful. Terrible. Carved from shadows and amber fire. His eyes burned like molten gold in the darkness. Not the warm gold of autumn leaves, but the fierce gold of a predator's gaze, sharp and assessing and hungry. Black hair fell to his shoulders, slicked back by rain that seemed to avoid him as studiously as it now avoided Sophia. He wore a long coat of midnight leather that billowed behind him like wings, and beneath it, clothing too fine for any village, tailored black shirt, silver buttons, boots that had never known mud. He stopped directly in front of her. Sophia's breath caught. She should run. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but her legs wouldn't move, and something deeper than instinct, something primal and ancient that lived in her marrow, whispered, "Stay. Wait." He's here for you. You're smaller than I expected, the man said. His voice was deep, textured like smoke over gravel, with an accent she couldn't place. Northern, maybe, from beyond the mountains where civilized roads ended. More fragile. Sophia tried to step back. Her spine hit the well. Who are you? He tilted his head, studying her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. You don't know me, but I know you, Sophia Thorne. Her name in his mouth felt like a brand. How do you... I know everything about you. He stepped closer. Too close. She could smell him now, cedar and smoke and something wild, like pine forests after rain. I know this village calls you cursed. I know they drove your mother into the woods when you were born, told her to abandon you because silver eyes meant devil's blood. I know she refused, that she died protecting you from their stones and torches, and that the orphanage took you only because the law demanded it. Sophia's heart hammered. That's not... How could you possibly... I know you've spent 20 years being blamed for every misfortune in this miserable hovel. His lip curled with disgust as he glanced at the shuttered houses. Blamed for droughts and floods, for sickness and death, for every petty tragedy these fools can't explain. I know you've begged for scraps, slept in stables, and convinced yourself you deserve it because they've told you so many times that you're worthless. Tears burned behind Sophia's eyes. She blinked them back furiously. Stop! I know, he continued, voice dropping to something almost gentle, almost pitying, that you stood in this square 10 minutes ago and told the storm that everyone hates you, that you've considered walking into the forest, that you believe you're a curse. Stop, Sophia choked out. He reached up slowly, giving her time to flinch away. She couldn't. His hand, large, calloused, radiating heat, cupped her jaw. His thumb brushed away a raindrop that had escaped the umbrella's protection. You're not a curse, Sophia. His amber eyes searched hers, burning with conviction. You're a gift they were too blind and stupid to recognize. Something inside her cracked. She jerked away from his touch, staggering sideways. You don't know anything about me. You're just... What do you want? Money? I don't have any. Information? I don't know anything worth... I want you to come with me. The words hung in the rain-soaked air. Sophia stared at him. What? Leave this place. He gestured dismissively at Ravenhollow. Tonight. Now. Walk away from these people who've done nothing but hurt you and come with me. That's insane. I don't even know your name. Jasper. He inclined his head slightly, a gesture that somehow felt more like a king acknowledging a subject than a man introducing himself. Jasper Ashworth. The name meant nothing to her. Should it? Jasper, she repeated slowly. Right. And why would I go anywhere with you? Because you have nothing here. His bluntness was brutal but accurate. Because if you stay, you'll die. If not from cold or starvation, then from loneliness so deep it hollows you out from the inside. Because I'm offering you something no one in this village ever has. What's that? A choice, Sophia laughed. A brittle, broken sound. A choice to what? Be murdered by a stranger instead of dying slowly here? That's not much of a choice. Jasper's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Amusement? Respect? I won't harm you, he said quietly. I swear it on my life, on my title, on everything I am. I will never hurt you, Sophia. Your title? She seized on that. So you're what? Nobility? A lord slumming in the provinces? Something like that. And you just happened to wander into Ravenhollow during the worst storm of the season, found the village pariah standing in the square, and decided to, what, rescue me? Skepticism dripped from every word. Forgive me if I don't believe in fairy tales. Smart. He smiled then, a sharp, wolfish expression that should have been threatening, but somehow wasn't. But this isn't a fairy tale, Sophia. This is just a man who's been searching for 3 years, finally finding what he's been looking for. Searching for me? Her voice pitched higher. Why? What could you possibly want with everything? The single word landed like thunder. Sophia's mouth went dry. She should be terrified. Every rational part of her brain screamed danger, strange man, impossible claims, too beautiful to be safe. But beneath the fear, beneath the confusion, that primal instinct whispered again, "Trust him. He's telling the truth." "I have a room at the inn," Jasper continued, as if he hadn't just upended her entire understanding of reality. "Food, a fire, dry clothes. Come with me, eat something warm, and I'll explain everything. If you still want to leave afterward, I'll let you go. No tricks, no traps." "The inn won't let me inside," Sophia said flatly. "The innkeeper's wife says I bring bad luck to paying customers." Jasper's eyes flashed dangerously. "They'll let you in." "You don't understand how much they'll let you in." Each word carried weight, authority, absolute certainty. "Or they'll regret it." Before Sophia could respond, he shrugged off his coat, the magnificent midnight leather that probably cost more than her entire orphanage, and draped it over her shoulders. The fabric was impossibly warm, impossibly soft, and smelled like him, cedar, smoke, wild things. "What are you—" "You're freezing," he said simply, "and I don't feel the cold." That was clearly a lie. No human could stand in a storm like this without feeling it. But the coat was warm, and Sophia was so cold, and her resistance was crumbling like river ice in spring. "One meal," she heard herself say. "You explain. Then I decide." Jasper's smile widened. One meal. He offered his arm like a gentleman from the stories her mother used to tell, before the village killed her for protecting a silver-eyed baby. Sophia hesitated, then slipped her hand into the crook of his elbow. The umbrella moved with them, an impossible shield against the storm. They walked across the square toward the inn. Behind shuttered windows, Sophia knew the villagers watched. Let them. Let them see her leaving with a stranger who looked at her like she mattered, who spoke her name without venom, who promised answers to questions she'd been too afraid to ask. The inn's door swung open before they reached it. Marcus, the innkeeper, stood in the doorway. His face paled when he saw Jasper, went bone white when his gaze landed on Sophia wearing the stranger's coat. "My lord," Marcus stammered, "we didn't expect, that is, we weren't informed." "I need your best room," Jasper said coldly. "Hot water for a bath, a full meal for two. And if anyone in this establishment so much as looks at my companion with disrespect, I'll burn this inn to its foundations and salt the earth where it stood. Are we clear?" Marcus nodded so hard Sophia thought his neck might snap. "Crystal clear, my lord." "Right this way." They stepped inside. Warmth enveloped Sophia immediately, heat from the massive fireplace, the press of bodies in the common room, the smell of roasting meat and fresh bread. Conversations died. Every head turned. She'd been inside the inn exactly twice in her life, both times to beg for work washing dishes. Both times she'd been thrown out before she finished asking. Now, wearing a stranger's coat and standing beside a man who radiated danger like heat off a forge, she walked through the common room with her head high. Let them stare, let them whisper. She was warm, she was dry, and for the first time in 20 years, someone had chosen her. Marcus led them upstairs to a room Sophia had only glimpsed through windows, the finest the inn offered, with a real bed, glass windows, a private fireplace already burning bright. "I'll have the meal sent up immediately," Marcus babbled. "And the bath water? Go." Jasper dismissed him. The door closed. Sophia and Jasper stood alone in the firelit room, steam rising from his rain-soaked clothes, her hands still buried in the warmth of his coat. "Sit," he said gently, gesturing to the chair by the fire. "You're shaking." She was. She sank into the chair, overwhelmed by softness she'd never felt, heat she'd been denied for so long. Jasper moved to the window, staring out at the storm-lashed village. "They really do hate you," he observed quietly. "I've been watching for 2 days, and their cruelty still surprises me." "You've been watching me for 2 days?" 3 years, technically, but I only arrived in Ravenhollow 2 days ago. "That doesn't make it less creepy." He turned, and his smile was sad. "No, I suppose it doesn't, but I'll explain. I promised you answers, Sophia, and I keep my promises." A knock interrupted them. Marcus himself carried in the tray, roasted chicken, vegetables and butter, fresh bread still steaming, a bottle of wine that probably cost more than Sophia had ever held in her life. He set it down, bowed to Jasper, actually bowed, like Jasper really was nobility, and fled. The smell alone nearly broke Sophia. When had she last eaten? Yesterday? The day before? Eat, Jasper said. Please, we'll talk, but eat first. She didn't need to be told twice. The first bite of chicken hit her tongue and she nearly sobbed. Tender, seasoned, real. She forced herself to eat slowly, to not gulp it down like the starving girl she was. But it was hard. So hard. Jasper watched her with those burning amber eyes, and something in his expression made her think he understood hunger. Not for food, maybe, but for something just as essential. So, Sophia managed between bites. Explain. Start with why you've been looking for me. Jasper pulled up the second chair, sitting close enough that their knees almost touched. He leaned forward, elbows on his thighs, hands clasped. 3 years ago, he began, something changed. I felt it like lightning in my blood, a pull, a certainty that somewhere in the world there was someone meant for me, someone I was meant for. The bond was too faint to track, too distant to name, but it was there, undeniable. Bond? Sophia's fork paused halfway to her mouth. A connection, rare, precious, unbreakable. His gaze held hers. In my world, we call it a mate bond. Your world, she repeated slowly. As opposed to what exactly? Jasper's smile was wry. As opposed to the human world you've lived in, believing you're ordinary, believing your silver eyes are a curse instead of what they really are, a mark of power, of potential. Sophia set down her fork. I think you'd better explain that. Your eyes aren't a curse, Sophia. They're a gift. Silver eyes appear once in a generation, maybe less, marking individuals with extraordinary sensitivity to emotions, not just their own, but everyone's around them. You feel what this village feels, don't you? Their hatred, their fear, their disgust. It crashes over you like waves, drowning you. She stared at him. How did you? Because I've studied this. Because for 3 years, I've researched everything about silver-eyed empaths, trying to understand the bond pulling me toward one. Because I knew the moment I felt it that my mate would be rare and precious, and probably suffering. Mate, Sophia whispered. You keep using that word. Because it's what you are. Jasper leaned closer. My mate. The other half of my soul. The person I was made to find, to protect, to love? The words came out bitter. I'm sorry, but I don't believe in destiny or soulmates or whatever fantasy you're selling. I barely believe in... Touch my hand. What? Just once. He held out his palm. Touch my hand, Sophia. Then decide if I'm lying. She shouldn't. Every instinct said this was manipulation, a trick, danger wearing a beautiful face. But that deeper voice, the one that had whispered, stay in the storm, urged her forward. Slowly, Sophia reached out. Their palms met. The world exploded. Heat raced up her arm, through her chest, spreading like wildfire through every nerve. Not painful, the opposite. Pleasure so intense it bordered on overwhelming. Warmth that chased away 20 years of cold in seconds. A sense of rightness so profound she gasped. And beneath it all, emotions that weren't hers. Fierce protectiveness, bone-deep relief, longing so intense it ached, and something vast and terrifying and wonderful that could only be described as love. His love. For her, absolute and unwavering and real. Sophia jerked back, breathing hard. What was that? The mate bond, Jasper said quietly. His own breathing had quickened. You felt it. I know you did. That's impossible. I don't even know you. Your soul knows me. Mine knows yours. That's how this works. He flexed his hand and she noticed it trembled slightly. I've been searching for 3 years because I felt you out there. Hurting and alone. I couldn't find you. The bond was too faint, the distance too great. But I never stopped looking. Why? The question burst out. Why would you waste 3 years searching for someone you'd never met? Because you're my mate, he said simply. Because even a world apart, I felt your pain. Because I'm the alpha king of the Northern Territories, and I've had everything a man could want. Power, wealth, territory. But none of it meant anything without you. Sophia's head spun. Alpha King, you're saying you're, what, a werewolf? That's Yes, the casual confirmation somehow made it worse. This is insane, Sophia breathed. Werewolves aren't real. Mate bonds aren't real. I'm just a cursed girl from a nothing village, and you're clearly delusional, and I'll prove it. Before she could ask how, Jasper's form shifted. Not slowly, not painfully. One moment, a man sat before her. The next, a massive wolf filled the space, black as midnight, eyes still burning amber, easily twice the size of any natural wolf Sophia had ever glimpsed in the forest. Power radiated from him in waves that made the air shimmer. Sophia shot to her feet, chair clattering backward. Holy! The wolf watched her calmly, waiting, not threatening. Then, just as quickly, Jasper was human again, sitting exactly as he'd been, not a hair out of place. Still think I'm delusional? He asked mildly. Sophia's legs gave out. She sat heavily on the edge of the bed, mind reeling. This isn't possible. None of this is possible. It's real, Sophia, all of it. Werewolves, mate bonds, your gift. Jasper stood, moving slowly so as not to startle her, and knelt before her, this man who'd just called himself a king, kneeling at her feet. I know this is overwhelming. I know you have no reason to trust me, but I'm asking you to try. Why? Her voice broke. Why me? Look at me. I'm nothing. I'm worthless. Everyone's always said so. They're wrong. Fire blazed in his eyes. They're so wrong it physically pains me. You're not worthless, Sophia. You're invaluable. You're my mate, which makes you a queen. You're a silver-eyed empath, which makes you powerful beyond their comprehension. And you've survived 20 years of cruelty that would have broken anyone else, which makes you the strongest person I've ever met. Tears spilled over. Sophia couldn't stop them. I don't feel strong. Because they've been poisoning you. Jasper's hands covered hers, gently, carefully, that same electric warmth flooding through her, feeding you lies until you believed them. But I see the truth, Sophia. I see you. You don't know me, she whispered. Not yet, but I want to. I want to know everything, your favorite season, what makes you laugh, what dreams you've hidden away because this village told you they were impossible. I want to give you the life you deserve, safety, comfort, a place where you're valued, not scorned, where your gift is celebrated, not feared. And in return? Sophia forced herself to meet his gaze. What do you want from me? Just a chance, Jasper said softly. A chance to prove I'm worthy of you, that's all. If you give me that, if you come with me, let me show you what life could be, and you still want to leave, I'll bring you anywhere you wish. I'll set you up with money, safety, anything you need. But please, Sophia, give me a chance. She should say no, should demand he take her away from Ravenhollow, but leave her in the nearest city, far from this insanity. Should protect herself from more hurt. But when had protecting herself ever worked? And that bond, that impossible, undeniable warmth that flooded through her when they touched, whispered possibilities she'd never dared imagine. One condition, Sophia heard herself say. Hope flared in Jasper's eyes. Name it. You have to be honest with me, about everything. No secrets, no lies, no protecting me from hard truths because you think I'm fragile. She straightened her spine. I've survived 20 years of this village's cruelty. I can handle honesty. Deal. Jasper's smile was brilliant. I'll tell you everything, answer every question, hide nothing. You have my word. Then, Sophia took a shaky breath. Then I'll come with you. For now. We'll see how it goes. The joy that transformed Jasper's face was almost painful to witness. Pure, unrestrained happiness that made him look younger, less dangerous, more human. Thank you, he breathed. You won't regret this, Sophia. I swear it. She wasn't sure about that, but as thunder rolled overhead and rain battered the windows, as she sat in warmth and safety for the first time in years, wearing a king's coat and feeling the echo of a bond she didn't understand, maybe, just maybe, she was ready to find out. Sophia woke to sunlight, not the weak gray dawn that usually crept through whatever crack she'd found to sleep in, but real sunlight, golden and warm, streaming through glass windows she'd only ever looked at from outside. For a moment she couldn't remember where she was. Then the events of the previous night crashed over her like a wave. The storm. The stranger. The impossible claim that she was his mate. She sat up quickly, heart racing. The bed was empty beside her, though the pillow bore the indent of someone's head. Jasper had kept his promise. He'd slept in the chair by the fire, giving her the bed. When she'd protested, he'd simply said, "You need rest more than I do." And that had been the end of it. The chair was empty now. So was the room. Panic clawed at Sophia's throat. Had he left? Realized in the cold light of morning that he'd made a mistake, that she wasn't worth the trouble after all? She wouldn't blame him. She'd spent the night tossing and turning, half convinced she'd wake, to find it all had been a fever dream. The door opened. Jasper entered carrying a tray laden with breakfast, eggs, sausage, toast, fruit she didn't recognize, and tea that smelled like heaven. He paused when he saw her awake, and his face transformed with a smile that made something flutter in Sophia's chest. "Good morning," he said. "I thought you might be hungry." "You got food?" The question came out stupidly. Obviously, he'd gotten food. "I convinced the innkeeper that feeding you properly was in his best interest." Jasper set the tray on the small table. "Eat. We have a long journey ahead." Right. She'd agreed to go with him, to leave Ravenhollow and travel to… where, exactly? "The Northern Territories," Jasper answered, though she hadn't spoken aloud. At her startled look, he smiled. "Your face is very expressive, and I told you, the mate bond lets us sense each other. Your confusion is practically tangible." Sophia's hand drifted to her chest, where a strange warmth had taken up residence since they'd touched last night. "I can feel you too, sort of. Like there's a thread connecting us." "Exactly." Jasper poured tea with the ease of someone accustomed to serving himself, no servants required. "It'll grow stronger as we spend time together. Eventually, you'll be able to sense my emotions as clearly as your own." "That sounds invasive." "It goes both ways. Fair trade." Sophia picked up a piece of toast, studying him. In daylight, Jasper was no less striking, perhaps more so. The amber eyes that had seemed threatening in the storm now gleamed with warmth. His dark hair fell in waves she wanted to touch, and the way he moved suggested coiled power barely restrained. He was still the most beautiful man she'd ever seen, and the most dangerous. "So," she said carefully, "Alpha King of the Northern Territories. That's a real title?" "Very real. I rule the largest werewolf pack in the northern mountain ranges. Roughly 3,000 wolves answer to me." Sophia nearly choked on her toast. 3,000? Give or take, the exact number fluctuates. He said it so casually, like they were discussing the weather. "Don't worry, they're going to love you." "How can you possibly know that?" "Because you're my mate. Because I'll make it very clear that disrespecting you means disrespecting me. And because," his voice softened, "once they see past the silver eyes and actually meet you, they'll see what I see." "Which is?" "Someone worth knowing." The simple statement hit harder than any grand declaration. Sophia looked down at her plate, throat tight. "You don't really know me." "Then let me." Jasper leaned forward. "We have a 3-day journey north. Plenty of time to talk. Ask me anything. I promised honesty, and I meant it." She had about 1,000 questions. Where to start? "Why 3 years?" Sophia asked. "If you felt the bond, why did it take so long to find me?" Jasper's expression darkened. "Because mate bonds aren't precise. I felt the pull. North, south, east, west. But it shifted. I searched cities first, thinking you'd be somewhere populated. Spent a year combing through territories, following leads that went nowhere. Then I realized the bond felt muted, like you were somewhere isolated, small. So you started searching villages. Every single one within a 500-mile radius. Took another year and a half." He ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident. "I had people helping, but I couldn't explain what I was looking for. How do you tell your advisors you're hunting for a woman you've never met based on a feeling in your chest?" "You could have given up," Sophia pointed out. "Never." The word was absolute. "I would have searched until the day I died. You're mine, Sophia. I'd walk through fire to find you." The possessiveness should have bothered her. Instead, it sent warmth pooling in her stomach. No one had ever wanted her, let alone with such fierce certainty. "What happens when we reach your territory?" she asked, changing the subject before she did something stupid like cry. "Do I just Become a queen? Is there a ceremony or nothing you're not ready for? Jasper's voice gentled. I won't rush you. The mate bond is recognized by my pack, so technically, yes, you're already my Luna, my queen. But I'm not expecting you to step into that role immediately. Take your time. Learn about our world. Get comfortable. And if I never get comfortable, then we figure something else out. He met her gaze steadily. I told you, if this doesn't work, I'll help you build whatever life you want. I meant it. Sophia wanted to believe him, wanted it so badly it scared her. A knock interrupted them. Jasper's expression shifted instantly, from open warmth to cold authority. Enter. Marcus poked his head in, looking terrified. My lord, there's a situation in the square. Jasper stood smoothly. What kind of situation? The village council. They're demanding to speak with you about the girl. Of course they were. Sophia set down her tea, resignation settling over her like a familiar coat. They want me gone. They don't get a say, Jasper said flatly. My lord, Marcus stammered, they're quite insistent. Elder Greaves said, I don't care what Elder Greaves said. Jasper's voice dropped to something dark and dangerous. Tell them if they want to speak with me, they can do so civilly in the common room, not in the square like we're on trial. They've gathered quite a crowd, my lord, the whole village. Perfect, just perfect. Sophia stood, squaring her shoulders. I'll go with you. You don't have to face them, Jasper said. Yes, I do. She met his gaze. If I'm going to leave this place, I want to do it on my feet, not hiding. Pride flickered across Jasper's face. As you wish. But I'm not letting them hurt you. I've survived their words for 20 years. I think I can handle one more conversation. Famous last words. The common room was packed. Every elder, every shop owner, every family that had ever spat at Sophia's feet now stood shoulder to shoulder, faces grim. Elder Greaves, a wizened man with a beard like iron wool, stood at the front, flanked by the blacksmith and the baker's wife. Silence fell as Sophia and Jasper descended the stairs. Every eye tracked them. Sophia felt the weight of their hatred like a physical thing pressing against her skin. Then Jasper's hand found the small of her back. Warmth flooded through her, cutting through the hostility. The mate bond, she realized, protecting her from the emotional onslaught. You demanded an audience, Jasper said coldly. Speak. Elder Greaves drew himself up. My lord, we mean no disrespect. Then get to the point. It's about the girl. Greaves's lip curled as he looked at Sophia. We understand you've taken an interest, but you must understand she's dangerous, cursed. Every misfortune this village has suffered is your own fault, Jasper interrupted, and has nothing to do with her. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The baker's wife stepped forward, hands clasped. My lord, please, we've lived with this curse for 20 years. The drowned boy, the burned chapel, the dead cattle. Coincidence, Jasper said. Tragic, yes, but not caused by a girl whose only crime is being born different. You don't understand, the blacksmith rumbled. Silver eyes are a mark of power, Jasper cut him off. Not curse, power. Something you've all been too ignorant and superstitious to recognize. Sophia's breath caught. No one had ever defended her. Not once. Not ever. Elder Greaves' face reddened. We only want to protect you, my lord. This girl has brought nothing but trouble. To you, Sophia heard herself say. I've brought trouble to you, but what trouble have you brought me? The room went silent. Sophia stepped forward, shaking off Jasper's protective hand. 20 years of swallowed words clawed up her throat, demanding release. You took me in when my mother died, she said, voice shaking but growing stronger. But only because the law required it. You fed me scraps, dressed me in rags, and made sure I knew every single day that I was unwanted. When I tried to work, you turned me away. When I begged for help, you shut doors in my face. You were cursed, someone shouted. I was a child. Sophia's voice cracked like a whip. A child who needed help, who needed kindness, and you gave me nothing but cruelty. You blame me for every bad thing that happened because it was easier than accepting that sometimes terrible things just happen. The signs were clear, Elder Greaves insisted. Silver eyes have always meant what? Sophia demanded. What exactly do you think these eyes mean? That I'm evil? That I cause death and destruction just by existing? She laughed bitterly. I'm an empath. I feel what you feel. Every ounce of your hatred, your disgust, your fear, it crashes over me constantly. That's my curse. Not hurting you, but feeling how much you want to hurt me. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Some faces showed shame. Most showed stubborn conviction. If you're so powerful, the baker's wife said shrilly, prove you're not cursed. Show us this gift you claim to have. I don't have to prove anything to you, Sophia shot back. I'm leaving. With him. You'll never have to see me again. Never have to blame me for your problems. Isn't that what you wanted? We want assurance, Elder Greaves said, that you won't bring your curse to other innocent... Jasper moved. One moment he stood behind Sophia, the next he was in front of Elder Greaves, moving so fast the old man stumbled backward with a yelp. Let me make something very clear, Jasper said softly. Deadly. Sophia is my mate, my Luna, the future queen of the Northern Territories. Every insult you've hurled at her, every cruelty you've inflicted, every time you made her feel worthless, I know about all of it, and I'm choosing to let you live despite it. My lord, we didn't know. You didn't care to know. Jasper's eyes blazed amber. You saw a child who was different and decided she was expendable. Well, she's not. She's invaluable. And if I hear that any of you have spoken ill of her after we leave, if you've spread your poison to other villages, if you've made one more person believe she's cursed instead of gifted, he let the threat hang. Elder Greaves' face was white. We understand, my lord. I don't think you do, but you will. Jasper turned to the crowd. All of you. You had someone special in your midst, someone rare and precious, and you threw her away like garbage. You should be ashamed. She brought misfortune, someone yelled from the back. Did she? Jasper's voice turned contemplative. Or did you bring misfortune on yourselves by mistreating her? Have you considered that the universe might have been punishing you for your cruelty, not cursing you through her existence? Silence. Uncomfortable, heavy silence. We're leaving, Jasper announced. Sophia will collect whatever belongings she has. I don't have belongings, Sophia said quietly. I own nothing but the clothes I wore yesterday. Something dark crossed Jasper's face. He turned to Marcus, who'd been watching from behind the bar. The finest dress you have, the warmest cloak, good boots. Charge them to my account. My lord, we don't keep such things. Then send someone to fetch them from wherever you do keep them. Now. Marcus scurried off. Jasper's gaze swept the room once more. If there's anyone here who wants to apologize to Sophia before we leave, now's your chance. Otherwise, stay silent and let us depart in peace. No one moved. No one spoke. Sophia hadn't expected anything different. These people would go to their graves believing she was cursed. Nothing she said or did would change that. But then, I'm sorry. The voice was small, young. Sophia turned to see Clara, the butcher's daughter. She couldn't have been more than 12, all gangly limbs and nervous energy. I'm sorry, Clara repeated, stepping forward despite her mother's hiss of protest. I threw rocks at you once, when I was little. Everyone said it was okay because you were cursed, but I'm sorry. It wasn't okay. Sophia's eyes burned. Thank you. I hope you're happy, Clara blurted. Wherever you go, I hope people are nice to you. The simple kindness shattered something in Sophia's chest. She nodded, not trusting her voice. No one else spoke. The moment passed. Marcus returned with a bundle, a dark green dress that looked warm and practical, a thick wool cloak, and boots that were only slightly scuffed. Not fine, but better than anything Sophia had ever owned. I'll change, she said quietly. Jasper nodded. I'll settle our account and arrange for horses. Meet me outside in 10 minutes. Sophia climbed the stairs one last time, acutely aware of eyes boring into her back. In the room, she changed quickly, fingers fumbling with unfamiliar buttons. The dress fit well enough. The cloak was warm, the boots were a bit large, but would do. She caught sight of herself in the small mirror above the wash basin. Silver eyes stared back. The eyes that had marked her as other, as cursed, as something to be feared. But for the first time, Sophia tried to see them as Jasper did. Not as a curse, as a gift. She still looked like herself, thin, pale, unremarkable except for those eyes. But she was leaving, finally leaving. Sophia took a breath and headed downstairs. Jasper waited outside with 2 horses, a massive black stallion that suited him perfectly, and a smaller chestnut mare with gentle eyes. He helped Sophia mount, his hands steady on her waist, that electric warmth sparking between them. "Ready?" he asked. Was she? Sophia looked back at Raven Hollow, the village that had been her prison for 20 years. The cobblestone square where she'd stood in the rain, the shuttered windows that had always been closed to her. She felt nothing. No sadness, no regret, just relief. "I'm ready." They rode out as the sun climbed higher. Sophia didn't look back again. The road north was well-traveled at first, winding through farmland and past other small villages. Jasper kept them moving at a steady pace, not pushing too hard but clearly eager to cover distance. He pointed out landmarks, told her stories about the territories they passed through, kept up a stream of conversation that was clearly meant to distract her. It worked, sort of. "What's your pack like?" Sophia asked as they stopped to water the horses near a stream. "Large, organized, mostly peaceful, though we've had our share of conflicts." Jasper helped her dismount. "The Northern Territories have been my family's seat of power for 6 generations. My father ruled before me. And your mother?" His expression shuddered. "She died when I was young. Hunting accident." "I'm sorry." "It was a long time ago." He changed the subject smoothly. "You'll have your own quarters in the palace. Private chambers, servants if you want them." "Palace?" Sophia nearly stumbled. "You live in a palace?" "More of a fortress, really. But yes, it's large." He smiled at her expression. "You'll get used to it." "I've never even been in a house with more than 3 rooms." "Then you're in for a surprise." His smile turned gentle. "But remember, it's just a building. Home is wherever we make it." They rode on. The farmland gave way to forest, the trees growing denser and taller. As afternoon bled into evening, Jasper led them off the main road onto a smaller path. "We'll camp here tonight," he said. "There's an inn 2 hours ahead, but I'd rather not risk it." "Or risk what?" "Running into anyone who might recognize me and spread word that the Alpha King is traveling with an unknown woman. I'd prefer our arrival to be on my terms." Right, because she wasn't just a woman, she was his mate, his future queen. The thought made her dizzy. Jasper set up camp with practiced efficiency, building a fire and laying out bedrolls. Sophia tried to help but felt useless, never having done this before. She'd slept rough plenty of times, but always in barns or doorways, never out in the open. "Relax," Jasper said, catching her anxiety through the bond. "You don't need to know everything at once." "I don't know anything," Sophia muttered. "I'm going to be useless in your world." "You're not useless anywhere." He sat beside her by the fire. "And you'll learn. I'll teach you. Others will teach you. That's how it works." "Others?" Sophia repeated. "Your pack. They're really going to accept me as their Luna?" "They won't have a choice." "That's not acceptance, that's obedience." Jasper tilted his head, considering. "Fair point. Let me rephrase. They'll obey initially because I command it, but they'll come to accept you because you're worthy of it, because you're strong and smart and compassionate, even after everything you've endured. You don't know that I'm those things. I know you survived Raven Hollow without becoming cruel yourself. I know you defended yourself in that common room when you could have stayed silent. I know you showed kindness to a child who apologized, even though one apology doesn't erase 20 years of torment." His amber eyes gleamed in the firelight. "That tells me everything I need to know." Sophia's throat tightened. "You have a lot of faith in someone you just met." "The bond doesn't lie." He shifted closer. "I feel your heart, Sophia. It's goodness. It's strength. Trust that I see you clearly." She wanted to. She wanted to so badly. "Can I ask you something?" Sophia ventured. "Anything. What if the bond is wrong? What if I'm not actually supposed to be your mate, and this is all some cosmic mistake?" Jasper's laugh was low and warm. "Impossible. How can you be sure?" "Because I've lived 32 years without feeling this." Because the moment I felt the bond snap into place, I knew nothing in my life had been right before it. Because when I touch you, he reached for her hand and that electric warmth raced through her. This happens. And that's not a mistake, Sophia. That's destiny. I don't believe in destiny. You didn't believe in werewolves either, he pointed out. How's that working out? Despite everything, Sophia smiled. Okay, fair. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the fire. Night settled around them, bringing sounds of the forest. Owls hooting, small creatures rustling, wind through leaves. It should have been frightening. Instead, with Jasper beside her, it felt peaceful. Tell me about your mother, Jasper said quietly. Sophia stiffened. Why? Because she mattered to you. Because I want to know where you come from. She almost refused, but he'd promised honesty, and that went both ways. I don't remember much, Sophia admitted. I was only 3 when she died, but I remember warmth, safety, her singing to me at night, silver eyes like mine. That's where I got them. She was an empath too? I don't know. Maybe. The village elders told me she was a traveler who fell in love with a local man. He died before I was born, fever, I think. When I came out with silver eyes, people said I was cursed, said she should abandon me in the woods. But she didn't. No, she fought them. Literally fought. I remember shouting, the smell of smoke. Someone told me later that she'd grabbed a knife when they came for me, threatened to kill anyone who touched her baby. Sophia's voice dropped. They stoned her. Called it justice. Jasper's hand tightened on hers. They murdered her. And raised me to believe I deserved it. That if I'd been normal, she'd still be alive. You know that's not true. Logically, yes, but emotionally? Sophia shook her head. It's hard to shake 20 years of conditioning. Then we'll work on it, together. Jasper raised her hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to her knuckles that sent warmth spiraling through her. Your mother was brave. She protected you when no one else would. I wish I could have met her. She would have liked you, Sophia said softly. Anyone who saw me as worth protecting, she would have loved that. They talked late into the night. Jasper told her about growing up as the Alpha's heir, the weight of responsibility, the loneliness of power. Sophia shared fragments of her life. Not the worst parts, not yet, but small memories. The smell of fresh bread from the bakery. The one winter it snowed so hard the whole village stopped. The time she'd found a wounded bird and nursed it back to health, only to have it fly away without a backward glance. You let it go, Jasper observed. Of course. It was healed. Not everyone would. Some would have caged it, kept it as proof of their good deed. Sophia met his gaze. Is that what you're doing? Caging me? No. His answer was immediate and firm. I'm giving you wings. Where you fly is up to you. Eventually, exhaustion pulled at Sophia. Jasper insisted she take the better bedroll, positioned closer to the fire. He settled nearby, close enough to protect but far enough to give her space. Sleep, he murmured. I'll keep watch. You need rest too. I'll rest when you're safe inside my territory. His eyes gleamed in the darkness. Until then, nothing will touch you. I promise. Sophia believed him. And that, more than anything, was terrifying. She drifted off to the sound of crackling fire and Jasper's steady breathing, the mate bond humming between them like a lullaby. She woke to growling. Not Jasper's, something else, something that raised every hair on Sophia's body in primal warning. Her eyes snapped open to find him standing between her and the tree line, body coiled tight, eyes blazing pure gold in the pre-dawn darkness. 3 wolves circled the camp. Not normal wolves, these were massive, easily matching Jasper's shifted form and size. Their eyes gleamed with intelligence far beyond any animal, and their lips curled back to reveal teeth like daggers. Stay down, Jasper said quietly, never taking his eyes off the intruders. Don't move. Sophia's heart hammered. She clutched the blanket, mind racing. These were werewolves. Had to be. But why were they here? The largest wolf, a gray beast with scars crisscrossing its muzzle, stepped forward. Its form rippled, and suddenly a man stood where the wolf had been. Naked, heavily muscled, with the same scars marking his face. Alpha King, the man said, voice rough as gravel. Fancy meeting you out here? Alone. I'm never alone, Garrett. Jasper's tone was ice. You know that. Garrett's gaze slid to Sophia. His lip curled. That's what you've been searching for? A scrawny human girl? Watch your tongue, Jasper snarled, or lose it. Touchy. Garrett circled slowly, the other two wolves mirroring his movements. Word travels fast, Your Majesty. Heard you claimed a mate. Didn't believe it until now. After 3 years of obsessive searching, this is what you found? Sophia forced herself to breathe evenly. These men, these wolves, radiated hostility. The emotional weight of it crashed over her empathic senses like a tidal wave, hatred, contempt, and underneath it all, ambition. They wanted something. State your business or leave, Jasper commanded. Our business is pack business, Northern Territories business. Garrett stopped, arms crossed. You've been gone 3 years chasing fairy tales. Left Marcus as regent. He's done adequately. But there are those who question whether an alpha who abandons his pack for a human deserves to rule. I never abandoned my pack. I delegated and searched for my mate. Something any wolf would understand. Jasper's hands flexed. And she's not human. That made Garrett pause. Not human? She's an empath, silver-eyed, rarer than you or I will ever be. Garrett's eyes narrowed on Sophia. She felt his scrutiny like insects crawling over her skin. Silver eyes. I've heard stories. Thought they were myths. They're not. And she's mine, accepted, bonded. Jasper moved slightly, blocking Garrett's view. Now, for the last time, what do you want? A challenge. The words dropped like stones. Sophia's breath caught. Even she knew what that meant. Wolves challenged for dominance, for pack leadership, for the right to rule. You dare, Jasper said softly, dangerously. I dare. Garrett smiled, showing too many teeth. You've been weakened by this obsession. 3 years away, distracted, vulnerable. The pack needs a strong leader, one who puts them first. I've always put my pack first. Have you, or have you put her first? Garrett gestured dismissively at Sophia. An alpha king doesn't disappear for years hunting a woman. He stays. He leads. He protects what's his. I can do both, Jasper growled. Prove it. Fight me. Here. Now. Winner takes the Northern Territories. You're not even from my pack, Jasper said. You're Eastern Territories. You have no right to challenge me. I have every right. I made it into the Northern Territories 5 years ago. I've been there while you've been gone, earning respect, building alliances. Your own wolves are questioning your fitness to lead. Garrett's smile widened. Or are you afraid? Afraid you've gone soft chasing skirts? Sophia saw it happen. The moment Jasper's control snapped, he shifted mid-lunge. 1 second, a man stood by the fire. The next, a massive black wolf collided with Garrett, fangs sinking into shoulder, both forms tumbling through the campsite in an explosion of snarls and fury. The other 2 wolves surged forward. Sophia scrambled back, pressing against a tree as chaos erupted around her. Jasper and Garrett tore at each other with savage intensity, claws raking, teeth snapping, blood flying. They moved faster than Sophia's eyes could track, a blur of black and gray that crashed through the fire, scattering embers. One of the other wolves shifted, a lean woman with short blonde hair and cold eyes. She grabbed Sophia's arm, yanking her to her feet. Come with me, the woman hissed. He's going to lose. You don't want to be here when he does. Sophia jerked away. Get off me! Stupid girl, Garrett will kill him. Then he'll kill you, or worse, claim you as his own prize. Is that what you want? Jasper won't lose. He's been gone 3 years, gotten weak, sentimental. The woman's grip tightened painfully. I'm trying to save your life. A black blur slammed into her, sending her flying. Jasper stood over Sophia in wolf form, hackles raised, blood dripping from multiple wounds. Behind him, Garrett climbed to his feet, looking worse but still dangerous. Enough, Garrett barked. He shifted back to human form, breathing hard. Call it a draw, Ashworth. For now. This isn't over, Jasper snarled, his voice distorted but understandable even in wolf form. No, it's not. Garrett wiped blood from his mouth. I'll see you in the Northern Territories. We'll finish this properly, in front of the pack. Let them decide who's worthy to lead. You'll regret this. Maybe. Or maybe I'll be Alpha King by the next full moon. Garrett glanced at Sophia once more, expression unreadable. Protect your prize, Ashworth. There are others who won't be as generous as me. He shifted and bounded into the forest. The other two wolves followed, the blonde woman shooting Sophia a venomous glare before disappearing into the trees. Silence fell. Jasper shifted back to human form, staggered, and caught himself against a tree. Blood streaked his chest and arms from a dozen deep gashes. His breathing came in harsh gasps. Jasper! Sophia rushed to him, hands hovering over his wounds. You're hurt. I'll heal. We heal fast. He straightened with visible effort. Are you all right? Did they touch you? I'm fine. You're the one bleeding. I'm fine. But his legs buckled. Sophia caught him, or tried to. He was too heavy, too tall. They went down together in a controlled fall, Sophia cushioning his head against her lap. Blood soaked into her dress. She didn't care. What was that? She demanded. What just happened? Coup attempt. Jasper's eyes flickered, the gold fading back to amber. Garrett's been planning this, waiting for me to be vulnerable. Because of me. Because he's ambitious and I gave him an opening. Jasper touched her face gently, leaving a smear of blood on her cheek. This isn't your fault. He said your pack questions your leadership, that you've been gone too long. Some do, most don't. Garrett's exaggerating to justify his challenge. He struggled to sit up. But he's right about one thing. I need to get back. Solidify my position before this spirals. Can you even travel like this? Watch me. Jasper forced himself to stand, swaying only slightly. Already the wounds were closing, flesh knitting together before Sophia's eyes. Within minutes, only dried blood and faint pink scars remained. We need to move. Now. If Garrett's here, others might be nearby. Others who want to challenge you? Or take you? His jaw clenched. An alpha's mate is his greatest strength and his greatest weakness. If someone captures you, they have leverage over me. Garrett knows this. Fear spiked through Sophia. So I'm a liability. No, you're precious, which makes you a target. Jasper began breaking down the camp with jerky, urgent movements. I should have anticipated this. Should have brought guards. You wanted to keep our arrival quiet. And now I've put you in danger. He rounded on her, frustration and fear warring in his expression. If they'd taken you while I was fighting Garrett, they didn't. I'm here. I'm fine. This time. He ran a hand through his hair, leaving it standing in wild spikes. I can't lose you, Sophia. I just found you. I can't. She crossed to him, taking his bloodied hands in hers. The mate bond flared between them, warm and reassuring. You won't lose me. We'll be careful. We'll get to your territory. And we'll deal with Garrett together. Together, he repeated, like testing the word. Then softer. You're not running. Where would I run to? Raven Hollow? Sophia managed a shaky smile. Besides, I don't abandon people. Not when they need me. Something fierce and protective blazed in Jasper's eyes. He pulled her close, burying his face in her hair. She felt him shaking, from adrenaline or emotion she couldn't tell. I don't deserve you, he whispered. Probably not, but you're stuck with me anyway. They held each other as dawn broke around them, two people bound by something neither fully understood, but both were beginning to trust. They rode hard after that. Jasper pushed them relentlessly, stopping only to water the horses and grab quick meals. They avoided towns entirely, sticking to forest paths and game trails. Sophia's body ached from the constant riding, but she didn't complain. The tension radiating from Jasper told her everything she needed to know. They were being hunted. How far? She asked on the second day after the attack. We'll reach the border by nightfall. Once we're in Northern Territory proper, we'll have protection. Jasper scanned the tree line constantly. My wolves patrol the borders. They'll escort us the rest of the way. And if Garrett's people are waiting at the border, then we fight. Simple, brutal, honest. As promised, they reached the border as the sun set. Sophia saw nothing to mark it. No fence, no sign. But Jasper relaxed marginally, and moments later, wolves emerged from the forest. 6 of them, all massive, all moving with military precision. They flanked Jasper and Sophia's horses, forming a protective escort. Sophia felt their curiosity like a physical thing, all those intelligent eyes studying her with varying degrees of skepticism. They're wondering about me, she said quietly. They're wondering about their Luna. Jasper's voice carried a note of pride. Let them wonder. They'll learn soon enough. One wolf, a beautiful auburn female, shifted as they rode. She fell into step beside Jasper's horse, unconcerned by her nakedness. My lord, she said formally, we received word you were returning with your mate. The palace is prepared, but she hesitated. But, Jasper prompted. There's unrest. Garrett arrived yesterday, making claims, demanding a formal challenge. Marcus has managed to keep things controlled, but it's tense. Of course it is. Jasper's jaw tightened. Thank you, Helena. How many support Garrett? Maybe a quarter of the pack, mostly younger wolves who don't remember your father's reign, who only know you've been absent. Helena glanced at Sophia. No disrespect intended, my lady, but they question why you're worth 3 years of their alpha's attention. None taken, Sophia said, though it stung. I'm questioning the same thing. Helena's expression softened slightly. For what it's worth, I don't question it. The mate bond is sacred. If my alpha searched for 3 years, his mate must be extraordinary. I'm really not. You survived that village, Jasper cut in. You stood up to their counsel. You didn't run when Garrett attacked. You're stronger than you know, Sophia. My pack will see it. The certainty in his voice made Sophia want to believe him. They traveled through the night, the escort growing as more wolves joined them. By the time the palace came into view, at least 20 wolves surrounded them, all bristling with protective energy. The palace took Sophia's breath away. It wasn't beautiful. It was imposing. Built into the side of a mountain, all gray stone and sharp angles, more fortress than palace. Towers jutted toward the sky like claws. Massive walls surrounded the complex, and Sophia spotted guards stationed every few hundred feet. Home, Jasper said quietly. Home. The word felt foreign. Sophia had never had a real home, but as they approached the gates, as wolves howled in greeting, as torches blazed to life along the ramparts, she felt something shift inside her. Not quite belonging. Not yet. But possibility. The gates opened. They rode into a courtyard packed with wolves, hundreds of them, both in human and wolf form, all watching with intense scrutiny. Jasper dismounted and immediately turned to help Sophia down. His hands on her waist were steady, grounding. He kept one arm around her as he faced his pack. I have returned, he announced, voice carrying across the courtyard. And I bring with me my mate, Sophia, your Luna. Silence. Then slowly wolves began to shift and kneel. Not all. Sophia saw some remain standing, faces skeptical. But enough. Enough to matter. An older man approached, white-haired, dignified, with kind eyes. My lord, welcome home. And welcome, my lady. He bowed to Sophia. I am Marcus, the regent. We've prepared chambers for you both. Thank you, Marcus. Jasper's grip on Sophia tightened. Where's Garrett? Guest quarters. Under guard. He's demanded a formal challenge for tomorrow night, under the full moon. The Pack Council has agreed to witness it. Sophia felt Jasper tense. Tomorrow night? Of course. You don't have to accept, Marcus said quietly. You could exile him for the attempt on your life. No, he's challenged formally. I'll answer formally. Jasper looked at Sophia. Will you be all right? I need to speak with the council and... I'll be fine, Sophia lied. She wasn't fine. She was terrified. But Jasper had enough to worry about without her falling apart. Go. Do what you need to do. He hesitated, then pressed a kiss to her forehead. The gesture was tender and possessive all at once, and she heard murmurs ripple through the watching wolves. Helena will escort you to your chambers, Jasper said. Rest. I'll come to you as soon as I can. Then he was gone, striding into the palace with Marcus and several other wolves trailing behind. Sophia stood alone in the courtyard, suddenly very aware of hundreds of eyes on her. Helena appeared at her elbow. This way, my lady, before they eat you alive with their staring. Sophia followed gratefully, feeling the weight of scrutiny like chains. The palace interior was just as imposing as the exterior, all stone and heavy tapestries, torches casting flickering shadows. Servants scurried past, all giving Sophia wide berths and curious looks. They've never seen silver eyes before, Helena explained. Most think it's a legend. Great. More superstition. Not superstition, reverence. Silver-eyed empaths are mentioned in our oldest stories. Gifts from the moon, some call them. Helena smiled slightly. Though I doubt you feel like a gift right now. I feel like I'm in over my head. You are. But that's true of everyone when they become Luna. You'll learn. They climbed stairs and wound through corridors until Helena stopped at a massive wooden door. She pushed it open, revealing chambers that made the in-room look like a closet. The suite was enormous. A sitting area with a fireplace, a bedroom beyond with a bed large enough for 4 people, windows overlooking the mountains, and an actual bathing room with a tub carved from stone. Luxury Sophia couldn't have imagined. Your belongings will arrive shortly, Helena said. Though I understand you don't have many. I don't have any, Sophia admitted. Everything I own I'm wearing. Helena's expression turned sympathetic. I'll arrange for a wardrobe. You're Luna now. You'll need appropriate clothing. Formal gowns, training gear if you want it, everyday dresses. Training gear? Most Lunas learn to fight, for protection, for respect. The pack values strength. Helena tilted her head. Can you fight? I can run away really well. Does that count? Despite herself, Helena laughed. It's a start. Get some rest, my lady. You look exhausted. She left, and Sophia was finally, blissfully alone. She sank onto the bed and immediately sank into it. Soft, so impossibly soft. For a moment she just lay there, overwhelmed. 3 days ago, she'd been standing in the rain in Ravenhollow, believing she'd die unloved and unwanted. Now she was in a palace, a Luna, mate to an alpha king who was about to fight for his right to rule. Because of her. The thought circled back, persistent and poisonous. If Jasper hadn't searched for her, Garrett would have no ammunition. The pack wouldn't question him. He'd be secure in his power. Instead, he was fighting for everything because he'd chosen her. A knock interrupted her spiral. Sophia opened the door to find a young woman holding a tray of food. My lady, I'm Sarah. I've been assigned as your attendant. The girl couldn't have been more than 16, all nervous energy and wide eyes. I brought dinner, and, there's a bath being drawn, if you'd like. A bath. Real bath. Sophia could have cried. Thank you, Sarah. That's very kind. The girl beamed and scurried off to prepare the bath. Sophia picked at the food, roasted meat, vegetables, bread still warm, but her stomach was too knotted to eat much. The bath was better. She sank into hot water and scrubbed away days of travel, letting the heat soak into her aching muscles. When she emerged, wearing a nightgown Sarah had provided, she found Jasper waiting in the sitting room. He looked exhausted. Shadows bruised the skin under his eyes, and tension bracketed his mouth. But when he saw her, something in his expression eased. Hi, Sophia said quietly. Hi. He stood, crossing to her. I'm sorry I was gone so long. The council had concerns. About me? About the challenge, about timing, about whether I'm fit to lead when I've been absent. He cupped her face gently. I defended myself. And you. Made it clear that anyone who disrespects my mate answers to me. That won't make them like me. I don't need them to like you. I need them to respect you. There's a difference. He leaned his forehead against hers. Tomorrow night, I fight Garrett. If I win, when you win, Sophia corrected. A ghost of a smile. When I win, my position is secure. You'll be formally recognized as Luna. The pack will have to accept it. And if you lose? I won't. But if you do, then Garrett becomes Alpha King. And you... Jasper's arms tightened around her. You'll be in danger. He might try to claim you or exile you or worse. I can't let that happen. Fear clawed at Sophia's throat. So, don't lose. I don't plan to. He pulled back, studying her face. But I need you to promise me something. If things go wrong tomorrow, if I fall, you run. Helena will help you. I've already arranged it. I'm not running. Promise me, Sophia. His voice cracked. I can't fight if I'm worried about you. I need to know you'll be safe, even if I'm not there to protect you. She wanted to refuse, wanted to stand beside him no matter what. But the fear in his eyes, the genuine terror that something might happen to her, made her relent. I promise, she whispered, but you better not make me keep it. Deal. He kissed her then, soft and desperate, pouring everything he couldn't say into the contact. The mate bond blazed between them, confirming what Sophia had been trying to deny. She was falling for him, had maybe already fallen. "Stay with me tonight," Sophia said when they broke apart. "I don't want to be alone." "I was hoping you'd say that." They lay together in the massive bed, not touching beyond holding hands, the mate bond humming between them like a shared heartbeat. Sophia drifted off, feeling safer than she'd ever felt, wrapped in warmth and the scent of cedar and smoke. She didn't know it would be the last peaceful night she'd have for a very long time. The next day passed in a blur. Servants came and went, bringing clothes, food, information. Helena arrived to teach Sophia the basics of pack etiquette, how to greet high-ranking wolves, what formal events required, the hierarchy she'd need to understand. It was overwhelming, but Sophia absorbed what she could. Jasper was gone most of the day, preparing for the challenge. Sophia caught glimpses of him training in the courtyard, moving with lethal grace, practicing strikes and dodges that made her stomach twist with anxiety. He was good, but was he good enough? As evening approached, Helena helped Sophia dress in formal attire. A deep blue gown that complemented her silver eyes, her hair arranged in an elaborate style that made her look older, regal, like a queen. "You look beautiful, my lady," Sarah said shyly. Sophia barely recognized herself in the mirror. This woman looked confident, powerful, nothing like the girl who'd stood in the rain 3 days ago. "The challenge will be held in the main arena," Helena explained. "You'll sit in the Luna's box, elevated so the whole pack can see you. No matter what happens, you cannot interfere. Do you understand?" "I understand." "Good, because if you step in, it'll invalidate the challenge. Jasper would lose by default." Pressure settled on Sophia's chest. She had to watch and do nothing. Even if Jasper was hurt, even if he was losing, she had to be strong, for him. The arena was a massive circular space carved into the mountain itself, ringed with stone seats that held thousands of wolves. Every seat was filled. The noise was deafening, howls, shouts, the rumble of anticipation. Helena led Sophia to the Luna's box, an elevated platform with a clear view of the fighting ring below. Sophia sat, hands clenched in her lap, feeling every eye in the arena shift to her. She lifted her chin and met their gazes steadily. Let them look, let them judge. She was here, and she wasn't leaving. Trumpets sounded. Jasper entered the arena from one side, shirtless, wearing only loose fighting pants, every muscle on display. The crowd roared approval. He looked up at Sophia, and even from this distance, she felt the mate bond pulse between them. "I love you," she thought, not sure if he could hear it through the bond. His slight smile suggested he did. Garrett entered from the opposite side. He was larger than Jasper, more heavily muscled, covered in scars that spoke of countless battles won. The crowd's roar increased. Clearly, he had support. An elder stepped into the center of the ring. "This is a formal challenge for the position of Alpha King of the Northern Territories. The rules are simple. Fight until one submits or dies. Shifting is permitted. No weapons. No interference. Does each challenger understand?" "I understand," Jasper said. "I understand," Garrett echoed. "Then begin." The elder fled the ring. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Jasper and Garrett circled each other, measuring, waiting. Then Garrett lunged. The fight was brutal from the first strike. They moved too fast for Sophia to track clearly. A blur of fists and feet, blocks and strikes, both fighters testing each other. Blood sprayed, bones cracked. The crowd screamed. Jasper landed a devastating kick to Garrett's ribs. Garrett retaliated with a punch that snapped Jasper's head back, blood streaming from his nose. They separated, breathing hard. "You've gotten soft," Garrett taunted. 3 years chasing a woman made you weak. "Keep telling yourself that," Jasper shot back. Garrett shifted. His wolf form was massive, gray and scarred, all muscle and fury. He charged, jaws aiming for Jasper's throat. Jasper shifted mid-dodge, his black wolf meeting Garrett's gray in a collision that shook the ground. They tore at each other with savage intensity, rolling across the arena floor in a whirlwind of fangs and claws. Sophia couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Every instinct screamed at her to intervene, to stop this, to protect Jasper. But Helena's hand on her shoulder held her in place. He needs to do this, Helena whispered. Stay strong. Jasper's wolf clamped down on Garrett's shoulder, shaking viciously. Garrett howled and twisted, breaking free, leaving chunks of fur and flesh behind. He limped, but didn't slow, circling for another attack. Blood soaked the arena floor. Both wolves were covered in wounds, healing slower now as their energy depleted. It was going to come down to endurance. Who could last longer? Who wanted it more? Garrett feinted left, then struck right, a move that caught Jasper off guard. Teeth sank into Jasper's side, tearing deep. Jasper yelped and fell, scrambling to regain his footing. The crowd's roar intensified. Some cheered for Jasper, some for Garrett. Sophia's nails drew blood from her palms. She couldn't do this. Couldn't watch him suffer. The mate bond burned in her chest, pulling her toward him with physical force. She started to stand. A new presence entered the arena. Not from the gates. From above. A wolf dropped from the upper tier, landing in the ring with predatory grace. Then another. Then 5 more. All of them moved toward Jasper. "Ambush!" Helena screamed. "They're breaking the rules!" Chaos erupted. The crowd surged to their feet. Some wolves shifted and leaped into the arena to defend their alpha. Others, Garrett's supporters, blocked them. Jasper, weakened and bleeding, faced 8 wolves alone. Sophia didn't think, didn't hesitate. She jumped. The 15-foot drop should have killed her. Sophia hit the arena floor hard, her ankle twisting with a crack that sent white-hot pain shooting up her leg. She crumpled, gasping, but forced herself upright. Around her, wolves snarled and snapped, the air thick with violence and bloodlust. She stumbled toward Jasper. "Sophia, no!" His anguished howl cut through the chaos, but he couldn't reach her. 3 wolves had him pinned, teeth inches from his throat. The nearest wolf, a brown female with hungry eyes, turned toward Sophia. Easy prey, weak, human. The wolf lunged. Something inside Sophia snapped open. Every emotion in the arena hit her at once. Thousands of wolves, all their rage and fear and bloodlust and loyalty crashing over her like a tsunami. It should have destroyed her, should have crushed her mind beneath the weight. Instead, she grabbed it. Her silver eyes blazed with light so brilliant it illuminated the entire arena. The charging wolf stopped mid-leap, suspended in air, whimpering. Every wolf within 20 feet froze, their eyes glazing over as Sophia's empathic gift, suppressed and ignored for 20 years, exploded outward in a wave of pure power. She felt them, all of them, every heartbeat, every thought, every loyalty and betrayal, and she could change what they felt. "Stop," Sophia whispered. The command rippled through the arena like a physical force. Wolves attacking Jasper stumbled back, confusion replacing their aggression. Garrett's supporters found themselves unable to move, their muscles locked by an overwhelming compulsion toward peace. Even Garrett himself, mid-shift back to human form, froze with his mouth open in shock. Sophia took a limping step forward. Blood ran down her leg from her ruined ankle, but she ignored it. Silver light poured from her eyes, from her skin, bathing the arena in ethereal radiance. "I said stop." Her voice carried despite its softness, amplified by something beyond sound. "All of you, stop fighting." The arena fell silent. Every wolf, thousands of them, stood motionless, transfixed by the small human woman who blazed like a star. Even those who'd been charging to defend Jasper halted, caught in the same inexplicable compulsion. Helena's voice broke the silence, filled with awe. "Moon's mercy. She's a true empath, a real one." But Sophia felt their wonder wash over her. Those who'd doubted, who'd questioned, who'd seen her as nothing but a weak human girl. She felt their shock as they realized what she was, what she could do, what she could become. But she also felt the conspirators, felt their guilt like acid, burning bright against the confusion of the innocent. 18 wolves scattered throughout the crowd, all connected to Garrett's plan. She knew them instantly, could trace the threads of their betrayal as clearly as if they'd confessed aloud. "Those 18? Sophia pointed, her finger unerring as it swept across the arena. "The brown female near the north gate, the scarred male in the upper tier, the gray pair by the Luna's box." She named them all, one by one, pulling their guilt to the surface where everyone could feel it. The accused wolves tried to run. Their bodies wouldn't obey. Sophia held them frozen, her power absolute in this moment. Jasper shifted back to human form, bleeding from a dozen wounds but alive. Sophia, you need to stop. This power, it'll burn you out if you hold it too long. I know. She could feel it, the strain of controlling so many minds at once, the way it pulled at something vital inside her, but she couldn't release them yet, not until this was finished. Garrett planned this, an ambush disguised as a challenge. He never intended to fight fair. That's a lie, Garrett snarled, though he couldn't move either. I issued a formal challenge and arranged for your wolves to interfere when you started losing. Sophia's gaze locked on him. I can feel your guilt, Garrett. Taste it. You planned to kill Jasper and claim it was a legitimate victory. Then you'd take his territory, his pack, and his mate. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, those not held by Sophia's power, able to speak but not to move. The revelation hit like a bomb. Marcus pushed forward from the crowd. Is this true? Can you prove it? I can make them confess, Sophia said quietly. Force the truth from their minds, but that's a violation. Even they don't deserve that. She was lying. The truth was she wasn't sure she could do it. This power was new, untested, already fraying at the edges as exhaustion crept in. But they didn't need to know that. One of the accused wolves, the brown female, broke. It's true. Garrett promised us positions of power when he became Alpha King. Said the old ways were dying, that we needed a leader who'd put the pack above some human mate. Shut up, Garrett roared. But the plan was always to ambush during the challenge. Make it look like chaos, like loyal wolves defending their alpha, when really we were executing a coup. The female's words tumbled out in a rush, compelled by guilt and Sophia's overwhelming presence. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought we were doing the right thing. Traitors, someone in the crowd spat. The words spread like wildfire. Within seconds, the entire arena was shouting it. Traitors, betrayers, oath breakers. In werewolf culture, Sophia realized, nothing was more shameful. Garrett's face twisted with rage and desperation. You don't understand. 3 years he's been gone, obsessed with finding a woman who didn't even know he existed. What kind of alpha abandons his pack for a fantasy? The kind who understands that a mate bond is sacred, Jasper said, moving to Sophia's side despite his wounds. The kind who knows that strength isn't just about being present, it's about making hard choices. I left the pack in capable hands because I trusted Marcus. I searched for my mate because that's what honor demanded, and I returned stronger for it. Stronger? Garrett laughed bitterly. You're half dead and held upright by a girl who can barely stand. It was true. Sophia's leg trembled, threatening to give out. Blood loss and power expenditure made her lightheaded. She swayed, and Jasper's arm immediately wrapped around her waist, supporting her. Let them go, Jasper murmured in her ear. You've done enough. Let me handle the rest. Sophia wanted to release the crushing weight of all those minds and collapse. But something stopped her. Not yet, she whispered back. Trust me. He did. She felt it through the bond, absolute unwavering trust. Sophia turned back to the crowd, forcing strength into her voice. I didn't ask to be your Luna. Didn't ask for any of this. 3 days ago, I was nobody. A village outcast blamed for every misfortune. I had nothing. Was nothing. The arena hung on her words. Then Jasper found me. Told me I wasn't cursed. I was gifted. That my silver eyes weren't a mark of evil, but of power. I didn't believe him. She met the gazes of those who doubted her, let them see the truth in her eyes. How could I? 20 years of being told you're worthless doesn't disappear overnight. But standing here, feeling every one of you, your doubts, your loyalty, your fear and hope, I understand now. This gift isn't about controlling you. It's about understanding you, connecting with you in a way no normal Luna ever could. She released her hold on the conspirators, but not completely, just enough that they could speak but not flee. You 18 betrayed your alpha because you thought he'd grown weak, that he'd chosen wrong, that I was a liability. Sophia's voice hardened. You're right that I'm not a traditional Luna. I can't shift, can't fight like you do, can't match your strength or speed. Garrett smiled, sensing victory in her admission. But I can do this. Sophia let her power surge once more, gentler this time. She touched the minds of every wolf in the arena and showed them what she'd survived. The stones thrown by villagers, the nights spent freezing because no one would shelter her, the hunger, the loneliness, the relentless certainty that she deserved to suffer. She showed them her mother, dying to protect a silver-eyed baby. Showed them Clara, the child who'd apologized. Showed them Jasper appearing in the storm like an answer to a prayer she'd been too broken to speak. She showed them strength they hadn't known existed, the strength to survive, to endure, to keep standing when the world demanded you kneel. When she withdrew, tears streaked faces throughout the arena. Even hardened warriors wept openly, overwhelmed by the weight of her suffering and survival. "That's your Luna," Sophia said softly. "Someone who knows what it means to be rejected by a community, who understands loyalty because she's never had it, who will fight for this pack with everything she has because for the first time in her life, she has something worth fighting for." Silence. Then, a howl rose from somewhere in the crowd, pure and soaring, full of acceptance and welcome. Another joined it, then dozens, then hundreds. The arena erupted in a symphony of howls, all pledging loyalty to their alpha and his silver-eyed Luna. Sophia's power finally gave out. She collapsed, and Jasper caught her, lowering them both to the blood-soaked ground. "I've got you," he murmured, cradling her against his chest. "You magnificent, terrifying, perfect woman. I've got you." Did it work? Her voice was barely a whisper. "Look around." She did. Through blurry vision, she saw wolves kneeling, not held by her power, but choosing to kneel, pledging themselves. Even some of Garrett's former supporters bowed their heads in submission and shame. Garrett himself stood alone in the center of the arena, surrounded by loyal wolves who'd shifted to block any escape. His face was ashen, his rebellion crushed not by violence, but by truth. Marcus approached, flanked by the pack council. "Garrett, you are charged with treason, conspiracy to commit murder, and oath-breaking. How do you plead?" Garrett's jaw clenched. For a moment, Sophia thought he might fight, might shift and try to take down as many as he could before they killed him. Then his shoulders slumped. Guilty. The word fell like a stone. "The punishment for such crimes is death," Marcus continued. "However, the Alpha King may show mercy if he chooses. What say you, my lord?" Jasper looked at Garrett, this wolf who'd nearly killed him, who'd threatened everything he held dear. Sophia felt the war inside him through the bond, rage demanding blood, wisdom urging restraint, exhaustion pulling at both. "Exile," Jasper finally said. "Strip him of rank and territory. Exile him beyond our borders with nothing but the clothes on his back. If he ever returns, the death sentence stands." Shock rippled through the crowd. Exile was harsh, but far more merciful than execution. Garrett's eyes widened. "Why?" "Because my mate just showed me that strength isn't always about killing your enemies." Jasper's arm tightened around Sophia. "It's about being strong enough to choose mercy when you have the power to destroy. Go, Garrett, live with your shame, and pray we never meet again." Guards hauled Garrett away. The other conspirators were let out, their fates to be decided by the council. Gradually, the arena began to empty, wolves returning to their homes with much to discuss. Helena appeared with a pack physician, a stern woman who immediately began examining Sophia's ankle. "Broken," the physician announced. "Clean break, but it'll need setting. This will hurt." It did. Sophia bit back a scream as bones were manipulated back into place and wrapped tight. The physician offered her something for the pain, but Sophia refused. She needed to stay alert. "Stubborn," the physician muttered. "You'll fit right in here." Was that approval in her voice? Sophia couldn't tell. Jasper was treated next, his wounds cleaned and bandaged despite his protests that he'd heal fine on his own. The physician ignored him, working with the brisk efficiency of someone who'd patched up too many alpha wounds to be impressed by bravado. Finally, they were helped back to the palace. Sophia couldn't walk on her ankle, so Jasper simply lifted her and carried her, ignoring his own injuries. She wanted to protest, but found herself too exhausted to argue. In her chambers, Sarah had drawn another bath and laid out clean clothes. Jasper dismissed everyone and carefully lowered Sophia into the hot water, bandaged ankle propped on the tub's edge. "You jumped into an arena full of wolves," he said quietly, washing blood from her hair with gentle hands. You could have died. So could you. I'm a werewolf. I heal. Your mate, Sophia finished, which means where you go, I go, even into suicidal situations, apparently. A laugh surprised out of him, rough and genuine. Fair enough. But next time, maybe warn me before you unleash godlike powers and take control of several thousand minds. I didn't know I could do that. Neither did anyone else. Do you have any idea how rare true empaths are? The kind who can actually influence emotions, not just sense them? Jasper's hand stilled in her hair. There are stories, legends, but I've never heard of one manifesting in modern times. You're unique, Sophia, one of a kind. Is that good or bad? Good. Terrifying. Probably going to cause political upheaval across multiple territories when word spreads. But definitely good. He resumed washing her hair. How do you feel? Sophia considered. Her ankle throbbed. Her head ached from power expenditure. Every muscle felt like jelly. But underneath the pain and exhaustion, something new bloomed. Purpose. Belonging. The certain knowledge that she'd found where she was meant to be. I feel like I'm home, she said quietly. Jasper's hands trembled. Yeah? Yeah. She turned to look at him. This man who'd searched 3 years for her, who'd fought for her, who'd trusted her when she'd had no reason to trust herself. I love you. I should probably wait longer to say that, build up to it, but I don't want to wait. I love you, Jasper. He pulled her from the bath, water and propriety be damned, and kissed her like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. The mate bond blazed between them, no longer tentative or uncertain, but absolute. Complete. I love you, he said against her lips. I loved you before I met you, and I'll love you after stars die. You're mine, Sophia, my mate, my Luna, my everything. They stayed like that for a long moment, wrapped in each other and the bond that had brought them together across impossible distance. A knock interrupted them. Jasper growled, but Sophia laughed and wrapped herself in a towel while he answered the door. Marcus stood outside with several council members. My lord, my lady, forgive the intrusion, but the pack is gathered. They wish to formally recognize the Luna. Now? Jasper asked. She's injured and exhausted. I'll do it, Sophia said, limping forward. What does it involve? Marcus smiled. Just acceptance. You've already proven yourself, my lady. This is merely ceremony. The ceremony, as it turned out, involved standing before the assembled pack, still thousands strong despite the late hour, and accepting their pledges of loyalty. One by one, representatives from each family group approached, knelt, and swore to serve their Luna. Sophia, dressed in a formal gown Sarah had miraculously produced, stood beside Jasper's throne and accepted each pledge with grace she didn't know she possessed. Her ankle screamed in protest, but she refused to sit, refused to show weakness. Not anymore. Helena was among the first to pledge. You have my loyalty, my lady, my service, my friendship, if you'll have it. I'll have it, Sophia said, surprised by how much she meant it. Thank you, Helena. Others followed. The physician who'd set her ankle. Young wolves who'd watched in awe as she'd blazed with silver light. Older wolves who'd seen her survive what should have broken her. Even those who doubted came forward, shamefaced but sincere. When the last pledge was given, Marcus stepped forward with a silver circlet, simple but elegant, marked with the Northern Pack's symbol. By the power vested in me as regent and elder, Marcus announced, I declare Sophia, silver-eyed empath and true mate to our Alpha King, to be Luna of the Northern Territories. May her reign be long and prosperous. May her wisdom guide us. May her strength protect us. He placed the circlet on her head. The pack erupted in howls, joyous this time, celebrating rather than challenging. The sound washed over Sophia like a blessing, and through her empathic gift she felt their genuine acceptance. Not all of them. Some still harbored doubts, and that was fine. She'd prove herself to them in time. But enough. More than enough. Jasper took her hand, lacing their fingers together. Luna, he murmured, and the title sounded like an endearment. Alpha, she replied, matching his tone. The ceremony concluded, the pack dispersed, and finally, they were alone. Back in the chambers, Sarah helped Sophia out of the formal gown and into something comfortable. Jasper dismissed the servants and locked the door, a clear signal they were not to be disturbed. "You should rest," he said, though his eyes said something entirely different. "I should," Sophia agreed, "but I won't." She reached for him, and he met her halfway. The kiss was different this time. Not desperate or claiming, but tender, exploratory. They had time now, all the time in the world. The mate bond hummed between them, warm and certain. When they finally pulled apart, Jasper rested his forehead against hers. "I have to tell you something," he said quietly. Sophia's heart clenched. "That sounds ominous." "Not ominous, just important." He led her to the bed, settling them both on its edge. "The mate bond will grow stronger over time. Eventually, we'll be able to complete it." "Complete it how?" "By mating, fully. Not just emotionally, but physically, magically. It'll bind us together permanently, our lives, our souls. I'll feel everything you feel, and you'll feel everything I feel. We'll be able to communicate telepathically. If one of us is in danger, the other will know instantly." "That sounds intense." "It is. It's also irreversible. Once the bond is complete, if one of us dies—" He trailed off. "The other dies too?" Sophia guessed. "Eventually, not immediately, but the pain of losing your mate is said to be unbearable. Some go mad. Others simply fade." Sophia absorbed this. "And you're telling me this because?" "Because I need you to understand what you're committing to. This isn't just a marriage, Sophia. It's a melding of souls. And I won't pressure you into it before you're ready. We can wait years if that's what you need." She studied his face. This beautiful, dangerous, devoted man who'd upended her entire world in the best possible way. "Ask me in a month," she said finally. "Let me settle in, learn what being Luna means, get comfortable in this new life. Then ask me to complete the bond." Relief and something darker, disappointment maybe, flickered across his expression. "A month. I can do that." "Good." She kissed him softly. "Now, can we please sleep? I'm exhausted, and your healing abilities might be supernatural, but mine definitely aren't." Jasper laughed and pulled her down beside him, arranging pillows to support her injured ankle. They lay facing each other, hands clasped between them, the mate bond a comfortable warmth. "Sophia?" he murmured as sleep pulled at her. "Thank you for choosing me, for staying, for being brave enough to jump into an arena of wolves when any sane person would have run." "Thank you for finding me," she replied, "for seeing something worth saving when I couldn't see it myself." They drifted off together, two broken pieces finally made whole. Outside, the Northern Territory settled into cautious peace. Garrett's exile had sent a message. Treason would not be tolerated. Sophia's display of power had sent another. The new Luna was not to be underestimated. But in the shadows, others watched and planned. Word of a silver-eyed empath would spread beyond the Northern Pack, reaching territories that had heard the legends and coveted such power. Sophia had survived Ravenhollow's cruelty and Garrett's ambush. She'd proven herself to a pack of werewolves and claimed her place as Luna. But her trials were far from over. They were only just beginning. The attack came 3 weeks later, on a morning so ordinary that Sophia would remember every detail with crystalline clarity for the rest of her life. She'd been in the training yard working with Helena on basic self-defense. Her ankle had healed. Werewolf physicians had ways of accelerating human recovery, and she'd insisted on learning to protect herself. Being Luna meant more than wearing a crown and accepting pledges. It meant being strong enough to stand beside Jasper when threats emerged. And threats always emerged. "Better," Helena said as Sophia completed a throw that actually worked, sending the smaller woman stumbling back. "You're learning, slowly but learning." "High praise from you," Sophia said dryly, wiping sweat from her forehead. The warning bells shattered the peaceful morning. 3 sharp rings, a pause, then 3 more. The pattern Jasper had taught her meant one thing: enemy at the gates. Helena's expression hardened instantly. "Get to the palace. Now." "What's happening?" "Enemy at the gates means—" Helena froze, nostrils flaring. "Multiple packs. I smell eastern and southern wolves. This isn't a skirmish, my lady. This is war." War. The word echoed in Sophia's mind as Helena grabbed her arm and ran toward the palace. Around them, the compound erupted into organized chaos. Warriors shifted and raced toward the walls. Families hurried children into reinforced shelters. The machinery of defense clicked into motion with practiced efficiency. They found Jasper in the war room, surrounded by maps and advisors. His face was carved from stone, eyes blazing amber. "How many?" he demanded of the scout who'd just arrived, breathless. 400, my lord? Maybe more? Eastern Territory wolves under Alpha Dominic, Southern Territory under Alpha Kara. They've formed an alliance. For what purpose? Marcus asked, though his expression suggested he already knew. The scout's gaze slid to Sophia. They're demanding the silver-eyed empath be surrendered. They claim she's too dangerous to be controlled by a single pack, that her power should be shared among all territories for the greater good. Sophia's blood ran cold. They want to take me. They want to use you, Jasper corrected, his voice sharp as a blade. Control you. Force you to manipulate other packs into submission. That's what this is really about. Power. We can't fight 400 wolves, one advisor said nervously. Our forces number barely 300 and many are young, untested. Then we negotiate, another suggested. Perhaps if we agree to limited access, supervised demonstrations of her abilities. No. Jasper's word cracked like a whip. We don't negotiate with invaders, and we sure as hell don't hand over our Luna like a bargaining chip. My lord, be reasonable. I am being reasonable. They've come to our territory, uninvited and armed, demanding we surrender my mate. The only reasonable response is to send them home missing pieces. The advisors exchanged nervous glances. Sophia felt their fear through her empathic sense. They believed Jasper was letting emotion cloud his judgment, that protecting her would doom the entire pack. Maybe they were right. What if I went to them? Sophia said quietly. Every head turned toward her. Jasper's face went white. Absolutely not, he said. Hear me out. If I go willingly, they have no reason to attack. The pack stays safe. And you become their prisoner, their weapon. Jasper crossed to her in 3 strides, gripping her shoulders. I won't allow it. You might not have a choice. If 400 wolves attack, how many of our people die? How many children lose parents? How many families are destroyed? Sophia met his gaze steadily. I won't let this pack suffer for me. You're their Luna. They'd die for you gladly. I don't want them to die for me at all. She covered his hands with hers. There has to be another way. There is, Helena said from the doorway. We fight, we win, or we die trying. Murmurs of agreement from the warriors in the room, but the advisors looked sick, knowing the odds. Jasper's jaw clenched so hard Sophia heard his teeth grind. I need options, battle strategies, ways to even the odds. The terrain favors us, Marcus said, moving to the map. The pass leading to the palace is narrow. We can bottleneck them, prevent their superior numbers from overwhelming us all at once. They'll have thought of that, another warrior countered. Alpha Dominic is cunning. He won't funnel his forces into an obvious trap. So we make it less obvious. A new scout burst in, face ashen. My lord, they've split their forces. Half approach from the North Pass as expected. The other half is coming through the eastern ridge. They must have climbed during the night. They'll flank us within the hour. Jasper swore viciously. How did they get past our patrols? The eastern ridge is treacherous. We only station minimal guards there because the climb should be impossible for large forces. The scout swallowed hard. They sacrificed wolves to the climb. Lost maybe 50 making the ascent. The rest are coming through. A suicide tactic. Spending lives like currency to gain the advantage. Sophia felt sick. We need to split our forces, Marcus said. Have to hold the North Pass. Have to defend against the eastern approach. That spreads us too thin, Jasper argued. They'll break through somewhere. Then what do you suggest? Silence. Terrible, heavy silence. Sophia felt the weight of it, the pack's fear, the warrior's determination, the advisor's despair, all of it pressing down like a physical thing, and beneath it all, Jasper's anguish. He was being forced to choose between his pack and his mate, and there was no good answer, unless she changed the equation. I have an idea, Sophia said quietly. It's risky, possibly insane, but it might work. Every eye turned to her again. I'm listening, Jasper said. My empathic power can influence emotions. I proved that in the arena. I froze thousands of wolves, made them feel what I wanted them to feel. Sophia took a breath. What if I did that to the attacking forces? Made them feel terror or confusion or the overwhelming urge to retreat? You'd burn yourself out, Helena said immediately. Maybe even kill yourself. 400 minds is exponentially more difficult than a stationary crowd in an arena. I know, but if it buys us time, if it evens the odds even slightly— No, Jasper said flatly. I won't risk you like that. You're risking 300 wolves if you fight conventionally. At least this way I'm choosing my own risk. Sophia, I'm not asking permission, Jasper. I'm telling you what I'm going to do. She straightened her spine, every inch the Luna despite her fear. I'll need to be elevated. Somewhere I can see both approaching forces. Is there such a position? Marcus studied the map. The watchtower. It overlooks both the North Pass and provides line of sight to the eastern ridge. If you were at the top, then that's where I'll be. Oh, this is madness, one advisor protested. She's not trained, not prepared for this kind of exertion. She's also the only chance we have, Helena interrupted. 400 trained warriors against 300, many of whom are barely adults? We lose that fight. But if our Luna can throw their forces into chaos even briefly, our warriors can exploit it. It could kill her, Jasper said, voice breaking. The strain alone. I've survived worse, Sophia said quietly. 20 years of Raven Hollow? Garrett's ambush. I'm stronger than you think. I know exactly how strong you are. That's why I can't lose you. She cupped his face, feeling the mate bond pulse between them. 3 weeks of growing closer, learning each other, falling deeper into a love neither had expected to find. You won't lose me, she promised, though she had no idea if she could keep it. Trust me, one more time. His eyes closed. When they opened, they burned with amber fire and acceptance. One condition. I fight beside you, not in the passes with the others, with you, in the tower. If you fall, I catch you. If this goes wrong, we face it together. Agreed. Marcus began snapping orders. Warriors scrambled to positions. The pack prepared for war. Sophia and Jasper climbed the watchtower, 100 steps spiraling upward, each one bringing them closer to the coming battle. At the top, wind whipped Sophia's hair around her face. From this height, she could see everything. The North Pass, where enemy wolves were already visible, dark shapes flowing through the narrow gap. The eastern ridge, where more forces crept closer, using terrain for cover. They'll be in range within minutes, Jasper said, watching through a spyglass. Are you ready? Was anyone ever ready for something like this? Sophia flexed her hands, feeling the power that lived beneath her skin. Since the arena, she had been practicing in secret, small exercises, learning to touch minds without overwhelming them, to read emotions without drowning in them. But this was different. This was warfare. As ready as I'll ever be, she said. Jasper handed her the spyglass. Through it, she could see individual wolves now, massive beasts in shifted form, eyes gleaming with aggression. At the head of the northern force, a wolf larger than the rest with silver-streaked fur. Alpha Dominic, she guessed. Can you reach them from here? Jasper asked. I don't know. I've never tried anything this distant. Sophia closed her eyes, reaching out with her gift. At first, nothing. Just wind and her own hammering heartbeat. Then contact. Faint, like brushing fingertips against silk. She felt the approaching wolves' emotions. Anticipation, bloodlust, greed. They wanted her power, wanted to control it, weaponize it, use her until she broke. Rage flooded Sophia, hot and righteous and absolute. These wolves would destroy Jasper's pack, her pack, all for the chance to turn her into a tool. They saw her as an object, a prize, something to be owned rather than someone to be respected, just like Raven Hollow had. No, Sophia whispered, not again. Never again. She opened her eyes, blazing silver, bright enough to illuminate the tower platform. Power surged through her, stronger than it had been in the arena. Fed by anger, by love for the pack that had accepted her, by determination to protect what was hers. Sophia. Jasper's voice held warning. She didn't listen, couldn't. The power was a flood now, unstoppable once released. She reached for the northern force first, 400 minds suddenly accessible, spread before her like a map. She felt their surface thoughts, their confidence in numbers. their certainty of victory. And she shattered it. Terror crashed over the attacking wolves like a tsunami. Primal, absolute fear, the kind that turned legs to water and courage to ash. They felt predators behind them, threats all around, death stalking their every step. It wasn't real, but their minds couldn't tell the difference. The charge faltered, wolves stumbled, whimpering. Some turned and ran outright, fleeing from imaginary horrors. But holding them was agony. 400 minds fought her influence, some stronger than others. Alpha Dominic's will was like iron. He resisted, snarling commands to his pack even as fear tried to break him. Sophia bore down harder. Blood trickled from her nose, her ears, her vision blurred. "That's enough!" Jasper grabbed her shoulders. "You're killing yourself!" "Not yet," she gasped. "Eastern Ridge, still coming." She split her focus. A mistake. The northern force immediately began recovering as her control weakened, but the eastern force was closer, more dangerous. She had to stop them too. Sophia reached for them desperately, power fracturing as she tried to hold too much at once. She managed to touch their minds, flood them with confusion and disorientation. Wolves stumbled on the treacherous ridge, losing their footing, crying out in panic, but it wasn't enough. Her power was fraying, her control slipping. She could feel her mind beginning to crack under the strain. Jasper's hands covered hers. "Take from me. The mate bond. Use it. Use my strength." I don't know how." "Trust the bond. Let it guide you." Sophia did. She opened herself to the connection that linked them, and suddenly Jasper's strength flooded into her. Not his physical power, she was still human, still fragile, but his will, his determination, his absolute faith in her. It was enough. Her power surged, renewed. She locked down both attacking forces with ruthless precision, this time learning from her mistakes. Instead of trying to control them all equally, she targeted the alphas, Dominic and Kara. She found their minds and crushed them beneath waves of terror and doubt. An alpha's fear infected their pack. Within seconds, both forces were in full retreat, wolves fleeing in blind panic from an enemy they couldn't see or fight. The northern pack erupted in howls of victory. Their enemies ran, scattered, broken. Sophia released her hold and collapsed. Jasper caught her before she hit the stone, cradling her against his chest. "I've got you. Stay with me, Sophia. Don't you dare leave me now." "Not leaving," she managed, though her voice was barely a whisper. "Just very tired." Her eyes fluttered closed. The last thing she felt was the mate bond, warm and steady, anchoring her to consciousness. She woke in the palace infirmary 3 days later. Jasper sat beside her bed, looking haggard and half wild. The moment her eyes opened, relief transformed his face. "You're awake. Thank everything holy, you're awake." "How long?" Her voice was rough, throat desert dry. 3 days. The healer said you burned through reserves you didn't know you had. Your mind needed time to recover. He pressed a cup of water to her lips. "Don't ever do that again. I aged a century watching you bleed from every orifice while saving us all." Memories flooded back. The attacking forces, her desperate gamble. Did it work? Are we safe? Safe and victorious. Dominic and Kara's alliance shattered the moment you sent them running. They've withdrawn to their territories in disgrace. Word is spreading. The Northern Pack's Luna is not to be trifled with. Jasper's smile was fierce. "You've become a legend, Sophia. The silver-eyed Luna who turned back 400 wolves without a single casualty on our side." "People are calling it the bloodless victory," Helena added, appearing in the doorway with a tray of food. "Already composing songs about it. You're going to hate the attention." She was right. Sophia did hate attention, but she loved her pack's safety more. "The pack," Sophia said urgently, trying to sit up. "Were there any injuries? Did the retreat cause—" "Everyone's fine. Better than fine. Morale is sky high. You proved that our Luna isn't just a symbol or a figurehead. You're a warrior in your own right." Helena set down the tray. "Half the pack is in love with you now. The other half is terrified of you. It's perfect." "I'm not sure that's perfect," Sophia muttered, but warmth bloomed in her chest. Over the next week, she recovered fully. The pack celebrated their victory with a festival that lasted 3 days. Music, dancing, feasting. Sophia attended in formal attire, the silver circlet on her head, Jasper's hand in hers. Wolves approached her throughout the evening. Some offered thanks, some pledged renewed loyalty, some simply wanted to touch the hem of her gown, as if she were something holy. It was overwhelming and humbling and perfect. But there was one final thing that needed addressing. On the night of the full moon, exactly 1 month after she'd first arrived, Sophia found Jasper on the balcony of their shared chambers, staring at the silver disk hanging in the sky. "You said to ask you in a month," he said without turning, "about completing the mate bond." "I did say that. It's been a month." He finally looked at her, vulnerability naked in his amber eyes. "But after everything that happened, if you need more time—" "I don't need more time." Sophia crossed to him, taking his hands. "I know what I want, Jasper. I've known for weeks. The bond is permanent, irreversible. If you complete it with me, we're linked for life. My pain is your pain. My death is your death. There's no going back." "I know. I understand the consequences." She smiled. "I also understand that I've never been more certain of anything in my life. You found me when I was lost, gave me purpose when I had none, loved me when I couldn't love myself. Completing this bond isn't a sacrifice, Jasper. It's a gift." His breath caught. "You're sure?" "Completely." "Then yes. Yes, I want to complete the bond. I want to tie my life to yours in every way possible. I want to feel what you feel, know your thoughts, share your joy and your pain. I want everything, Sophia. All of you. For always." The mate bond flared between them, responding to their mutual desire. Jasper pulled her close, claiming her mouth in a kiss that tasted like promise and forever. The bond deepened, strengthened, becoming something more than connection, becoming fusion. Sophia felt it happen. The moment their souls intertwined, two becoming one while remaining themselves. His emotions crashed over her. Love so deep it was oceanic, devotion absolute, joy fierce enough to burn. And she felt him experiencing hers, wonder, belonging, love that matched his measure for measure. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard, eyes gleaming with power. "I can hear you," Jasper whispered aloud. "In my mind, your thoughts." "And I can hear yours," Sophia replied without speaking. "This is incredible. This is forever." "Good. Forever sounds perfect." They stood together under the full moon, Luna and Alpha, mates in every sense. The pack slept peacefully below, protected by their strength and unity. The territories beyond had learned a valuable lesson. The northern pack was not to be challenged, and Sophia, who'd once believed herself cursed and worthless, now stood as one of the most powerful Lunas in living memory. But none of that mattered as much as this moment, held in the arms of the man who'd seen her worth when no one else had. The man who'd searched 3 years to find her. The man whose soul was now bound to hers for eternity. "I love you," she said aloud, because some things deserve to be spoken. "I love you too," Jasper replied. "My Luna, my mate, my Sophia." The Northern Territory continued to thrive under their joint rule. Sophia learned to control her empathic gift, using it to mediate disputes, identify threats before they escalated, and understand the needs of their people in ways no previous Luna had managed. She became beloved not just for her power, but for her compassion. The girl who'd suffered cruelty learned to lead with kindness. Jasper, with his mate by his side, became a stronger alpha than he'd been before. Together they forged alliances with other territories, not through intimidation, but through demonstrated strength and wisdom. The Northern Pack grew prosperous, respected, and powerful. Years later, when Sophia looked back on her life, she could barely recognize the broken girl who'd stood in the rain in Raven Hollow. That girl had believed the world had nothing to offer her but pain. She'd been so beautifully, wondrously wrong. The world had offered her everything: purpose, belonging, love, and a home where silver eyes weren't a curse but a crown. Where being different made her valuable instead of vulnerable. Where she was chosen, cherished, and celebrated. She'd gone from village outcast to alpha queen, from nobody to legend, from cursed to blessed. And it had all started with a stranger holding an umbrella in a storm, offering shelter to a girl who'd never known warmth. On quiet nights, when the pack slept and the moon hung full and bright, Sophia would stand on that same balcony and whisper, thanks to whatever force had brought Jasper to that village square. to whatever twist of fate had given her silver eyes instead of ordinary brown, to whatever cosmic design had marked her for this extraordinary life. She'd survived the worst humanity could offer. She'd proven herself to wolves who doubted her. She'd defended her pack against impossible odds and emerged victorious. But more than any of that, more than power or position or recognition, she'd found love. Real, unconditional, eternal love with a man who saw her clearly and chose her anyway. Who chose her because of who she was, not despite it. "What are you thinking about?" Jasper asked, appearing behind her and wrapping his arms around her waist. "You, us. How impossibly lucky I am. Luck had nothing to do with it. This was always meant to be. Maybe. Or maybe we made our own fate." Sophia leaned back against him, feeling the mate bond hum between them like a song. "Either way, I'm grateful. So am I, every single day." They stood together as stars wheeled overhead and the pack slept peacefully below. Two souls bound by choice and fate, by love and power, by scars survived and joy discovered. The village that had cursed her was a distant memory now, irrelevant and forgotten. This was her home. These were her people. This was her life. Hard-won and precious and entirely, wonderfully hers. Sophia had spent 20 years being told she was worthless. It had taken only one man 3 years to prove the world wrong, and it had taken her 1 month to believe him. But it would take a lifetime, an eternal, blessed lifetime, to fully comprehend the depths of what they'd built together. A love that transcended species and circumstance, a partnership that made them both stronger, a bond that would endure until stars fell and the moon stopped rising. She was no longer the cursed girl of Raven Hollow. She was Sophia Ashworth, Luna of the Northern Territories, silver-eyed empath, beloved mate of the Alpha King and protector of thousands. She was powerful, she was worthy, she was home, and she was finally and completely happy.